Welcome back, guys, to the Canadian Real Estate Channel. I'm flying here solo today. My name is Yasser from 555 Construction Management Team. Today we are in the west end of Hamilton. This is the second part of a two-part series we're doing on multi-unit builds. These are brand new construction from the ground up. Whether you're tearing down an old building and building up, or you're finding a newly severed lot like this one. This lot was attached to that house over there. The sellers had severed it, sold it to our clients, and we've taken it, done all the planning to get to this point of construction. And now we have 4 units, all above ground, 3 bedrooms a unit, 750 square feet for each unit. We have a 1,500 square foot footprint basement, unfinished, 9-foot ceilings everywhere, 2 units on each level. It's a really big building. There's tons of planning that goes into it. We're going to take you through all the do's and don'ts, how to assess these projects for the missing middle, small scale density projects. We're going to take you to 2 separate sites. Obviously today we're showing you this one, and then later today we'll show you another one that hasn't started yet that's still in the planning phase. All right, guys, let's take you through project life from day 1 to the day that you start the construction. Okay, this video is all about planning, so let's forget about the construction side of the business. Let's talk about planning. First things first, you obviously need to have a lot. Okay, whether this is an existing lot that you have and it's going to be a knockdown and build, or it's like the one that we have behind us where it was severance from a previous building and now its own independent lot. That's the 2 strategies or 2 approaches that you can take for assessing a multi-unit build. Another major component that drives what we do as far as what we're allowed to do is the zoning. Each city has their own zoning and their own allowances. We are in west end of Hamilton. This is our zoning. We're allowed to do 4 units here. So we chose to do all of those 4 units above grade. A city like Toronto and their yellow belt, if you check your most recent news, we're now in June of 2025, they just passed that they're going to 6 units. Okay, and it's for that exact reason why in our planning we built for today but also built for tomorrow by leaving our basement completely unfinished, 1,500 square feet, 9-foot ceilings. If there ever is a zoning change, which could happen, or an amendment, then we can add another 5th or maybe 6th unit into that basement, legally and conforming through the municipality. So zoning is super important. Bylaw is just as important. Parking spaces, are there parking requirements? You have to check with your local municipality. How far away do you need to be from each neighbor? How high up can you go? These are all some basic bylaw parameters, okay? And then building code specifications, okay? You're obviously going to be building code compliant if you're building new construction, as you're going to have a building official there inspecting your project along with ESA officials and Enbridge and other utility providers. But what's really important when assessing these projects is your services investigation. Brand new lot, not a knockdown. You need to bring services in this building, okay? So you see our temp power posts. That's what we're working with now, but eventually Electro will bring us the real stuff. We have a new Enbridge gas line coming into the building for 4 gas meters. And then as you can clearly see here, a new sewer coming into the building and a brand new greater than 1-inch water line coming into this building, okay? So all of these services are able to satisfy the 4 units that we have, all independent power, all independent gas. The build is really for the future, keeping into considerations the basement unit when it does come time to add more value there. All right, guys, continuing on with our planning video. Remember, this is a 2-part series to multi-unit builds in Ontario. If you haven't checked out already, like, subscribe, and follow, and make sure you check out both. One video on construction and how to build these and the specs of these buildings. And today we're talking about planning. We're going to 2 sites today. They're both the exact same build. So picture this 4-unit multiplex building behind me being picked up and being brought to another location. The same design, we'll touch on architectural in a second, but today is all about planning and assessing these lots. You need to find a new lot or a newly severed lot, or you can sever it yourself, or you're taking an existing lot or build and knocking it down and building brand new, okay? And that's what we're gonna see at our second location, okay? We talked about zoning, making sure that you can expand. Talking about bylaws, what do you need to do to make sure that you're bylaw compliant? If you're not, what kind of minor variances do you need to ask for that forgiveness so that the city will approve your permit build, okay? So zoning, bylaw, building code, we talked about bringing services in. At this newly severed lot, we need to bring services in, but at our second location, it is a knockdown, so we do not need to do that. Another major component or factor or piece of the puzzle is your architectural. We use a firm out of West End Hamilton called Deck Inc. They're an engineering firm. They planned both of these projects for us. It's very, very important that that firm understands planning from the zoning, the bylaw, and obviously a building code standpoint. You need all of those ingredients so that you can get your permit application in place, and then you're onto the construction side, okay? We're gonna do a quick drive. It's about 15 minutes to our next location. You can see what it looks like prior to construction, okay? When it's in planning phase. We're past planning phase here. We are all the way in. We are almost weather tight and into our mechanicals, okay? But the next site will be untouched, and you'll see what it looks like from a severed lot standpoint versus the perspective of a knockdown, all right? All right, guys, we've now reached site number 2. This is the second multiplex that we're going to be working on. Once again, this video is all about planning. If you're looking to talk about construction or how these multi-units look like, we have another video on the Canadian Real Estate channel going through all of the specs and square footage, bedroom sizes, kitchens, bathrooms, en-suites, all that kind of stuff. This video is strictly about planning and assessing, okay? So all these projects, these lots, these multi-unit projected builds, they all come in different shapes and sizes. The one that we just came from was an interior lot. This is clearly an end unit behind me, okay? That one's obviously part way through construction. This one has not started yet. This one is still sitting with the municipality, so construction will start soon. Back to the other lot, that was a newly severed lot. That lot was attached to the neighbor, okay? And then they put the severance application in, got that lot chopped off. The house went one way and the lot went another way, and that's where we're building now. Here, we have a knockdown. So as you can see behind me, we'll dive in a little bit deeper there. You still see the old foundation. So there's an existing house that's being knocked down to make way for a new multiplex building, okay? It's gonna be a 4-unit building, the exact same shell footprint engineering. We even use the same architectural firm, Deck Inc. out of Hamilton, for the drawing package. So you can picture that building being picked up and dropped right here, okay? The back of the building being right here and the front of the building at the adjacent street there. The planning is a little bit different when it's existing, okay? But the idea and the execution is the same. Zoning, we talked about what to look for, what's allowed. Bylaw, what kind of parameters you need to be within. Do you need parking? How far away do you have to be from the neighbor? How high up can you go? All very, very important so that you can avoid of what's called a minor variance, which means forgiveness. Building code just means you need to be building code compliant, which is obviously very important, but you will do it as you go through the project, and you have building inspectors there, ESA inspectors there, utility inspectors there, and so on. But with the building code comes services. We showed at the other location, once again, they all come in different shapes, sizes, and starting points. At the other location, we had no services to begin with. We had to bring in our own sewer, our own water line from the city, plus some temp power so that we can eventually get our true service coming in from Electra. And then as well, we brought in a gas line for 4 independent gas meters. Here it will be a little bit different. As it was an existing building, all those services are already here, saving us lots of money on the build side of it. So once again, very, very important for the planning. All that planning just comes just relates to dollar signs, right? The more they can be on top of your planning and your forecasting with your soft costs and obviously your construction costs, the more, the better position you'll be from an execution standpoint, okay? Let's get right in the mess and show you guys where our starting point is, talk a little bit more about planning, things like electrical load, gas load, the stuff that comes after the zoning checks, bylaw, building code, and the architectural has started. All right, guys, we're now standing right into the hole or the former basement of the knockdown that was here. Okay, so once again, they come in all shapes and sizes, whether a new severed lot or we're knocking them down. If the numbers make sense for a knockdown, it's an old house in your portfolio. There's not a big mortgage left on there, and maybe it was a single family home or a 2-unit building. This way we can put some dollars in via planning and construction and get our returns through appreciated build or through a forced appreciation, and beyond that, getting our rental back in here, getting our rental back in the books. We go up to 4 units, maybe 2 beds, maybe 3 beds. You're seeing this happen all over Ontario, more so specifically in downtown Toronto. You're seeing the density really pick up there as their zoning has changed or passed to push up to 6 units, where in the downtown core East End area of Hamilton, where we're allowed to do 4 units here. So those 4 units can attract, you know, depending on the number of bedrooms, if you've got 3 bedrooms each, all above grade, similar to the last build on this tour for this video, you could be reaching somewhere around $2,500 per unit. That's $10,000 here, okay? At the previous site, we had 12 bedrooms there. It's student rental approach, right near McMaster University. If you go by the going rate of bedrooms, maybe it's $12,000 over there, okay? The strategies are different. The execution is the same, okay? Planning, 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 okay? You use your planning to do your assessment. We talked about zoning, we talked about bylaw, we talked about building code, bringing our services in to the other lot. We don't need services as they're already here for this knockdown project. For these multiplexes or multi-unit builds, beyond that, once you get into architectural and engineering, it's a huge component for your permit to build. You must consider your loads that are coming in, okay? Ontario is one of the only provinces that has standalone regulation for your electrical. It's done through ESA or the Electrical Safety Authority, so it's not done through the municipality or their building department. So you want to make sure that one hand is talking to the other, okay? The architectural team and design is talking to your electricians and the electrical engineer to make sure we have sufficient electrical load coming into this building for each unit, especially if we want each unit to have their own independent power, offset utilities, as we showed you in video 1 of the multiplex tour. That's always the best approach. And then if you're short on load calculations, are you upgrading the service through the utility provider? What does that cost? What does that look like into your planning, into your pro forma, into your forecasting? And if not, how can we substitute that? Do we need gas load coming in here, independent gas meters? What's going to be ran off gas? Is it going to be hot water tanks? Is it going to be some of your appliances? What's the trade-off there? Another very, very, very important part of planning. So let me run them all back off to you. Some of the high level ideas or factors that should go into your planning. One, obviously acquisition, or finding an existing property in your portfolio to even begin the assessment. But once you get in there, zoning, it really works in your favor nowadays versus 3-4 years ago. Zoning really didn't help. So zoning, bylaw, staying within the prescribed parameters within the bylaw, parking, setbacks, heights, and so on. And how do we get around them if we are failing those parameters? Building code compliant, services and investigation, getting your architectural team, getting your engineering team, making sure everything's packaged nicely for the municipality to approve or give minimal conditions. Then beyond that, making sure all of the services and the loads that are coming into this building are going to satisfy all the devices, whether it's plumbing or HVAC or your electrical. It all makes sense so that when the project does get to construction mode, we're not stuck with a load issue, okay? High level planning for you guys. Obviously, the assessment will take a lot longer. Assessments can take anywhere between, a month to 3 months, and then putting your permit application in place. Okay, let's talk about timelines for these projects. You should be anywhere between 2 to 4 months on planning. Planning means the day the pen hits the paper to the day that you sign off and send it to the city until they approve that permit, depending on which municipality that you're in. Okay, I'll make sure that there's a little asterisk there. Each municipality kind of operates differently based on their capacity. Once you have that permit, hopefully somewhere between 2 to 4 months, let's just say 4 months, a multiplex build can take anywhere between 8 to 10 months. Obviously, the weather is a factor. We're in Canada. We get some crazy weather here. But if you take those two timelines and put them together, 4 months of planning, 10 months of construction, that should be projected into your pro forma or in your forecasting, okay? So you got your dollars going into the lot, or maybe the knockdown and you already own the place and there's a small mortgage, or maybe you're really lucky and you have no mortgage, okay? Then you combine all of your planning fees, okay? One of them we did not talk about is the city of Hamilton or whatever municipality that you're operating in, their fees and their development costs and what those look like. Those figures can get really high. So you want to make sure that you account for those. Beyond that, admin related to any type of services, and then obviously the big ticket is the construction, the hard costs, making sure you have a construction team with knowledge in the multiplex space to finalize your pro forma. You package it all together, see what your back-end appraisal is going to look like, so that you make sure that the dollars make sense here, your rate of return, your rental income coming in from your 4 units, or maybe it's 5 or 6 units if you're in a zoning that allows for that to happen. Once that's all been properly assessed, right? We call that a feasibility test. And then you kind of give it the green light and you push it towards technical planning. All right, guys, that about wraps up our planning video on the multiplex. Okay, so we've done 2 videos on multi-units, the missing middle housing happening all over Ontario. Can you find the right lots or knockdowns to build maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 units depending on what the zoning allows? So if you haven't checked out both videos, one was on the construction and the specs and one was on planning, like, subscribe, and follow, and make sure you tune in. Beyond that, if you haven't followed our team, 555 Construction Management, you can find us on all socials, especially Instagram. You will see that on the Canadian Real Estate channel, we have done lots of videos on accessory dwelling units, another way for you guys to expand or densify and find more ways to create value and add revenue to your portfolio, okay? Whether that's taking an existing garage, retrofitting it to become a true suite, renting that out, or building a brand new ADU, which is known as a garden suite. Okay, so make sure you like, subscribe, and check out those videos for more information. If you're looking for us to help you assess or do a feasibility test on any of these projects, like I said, you can find us on any of our socials or our website, 555 Construction Management. Beyond that, appreciate the tour, guys. Until next time, we'll catch you back on the Canadian Real Estate channel.